that inspire, building stronger communities, taking DC higher.
Education, housing, the things that shape our days, lifting every voice up, creating better ways. Stand up, speak out, together we are stronger. Stand up, speak out,
The future starts right now.
it's the people's voice. DC, where the people rise and speak.
Hey, hey.
Real conversations, changing lives. Together we can lead. It's the people's voice. DC, your voice matters here.
Yeah.
From every ward, every block, the people's voice is clear.
Oh, yeah. No matter where you're coming from, your story matters too. When neighbors work together, there's nothing we can't do.
Real issues, real solutions, real people taking part, building hope across the city. One conversation start. This is our city. This is our time. Together we'll shine. The people's voice. The people's voice.
Every voice matters. Every story counts.
People's voice. The people's voice. The people's voice. DC, where the
Hosted by Pastor Mike, powered by rising voices. This is the people's voice. Welcome to this edition of the People's Voice DC. I am so honored, so humbled to have a very special guest today, our forever First Lady, Madam Core Masters Berry. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a great day in Ward 8, as we always say.
A great day in Ward 8. Listen, for those of you who don't know, who just don't know, this is a woman whose fingerprints are on nearly every chapter of DC. She is an educator, a political strategist, a voting rights champion, the founder of Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. She is the forever First Lady of the district and one of the most influential civic leaders our city has ever produced. This right here is a moment that I will cherish forever here on the People's Voice DC. Thank
Well,
you
that's
so much.
but thank you. That was quite a lot.
Yes, that's just for those of us who are in this journey and a part of this I guess you could say fight, it's just motivation that we can accomplish, that we can do, no matter where we come from, no matter what our zip code is. We have the ability, we have the brains, and as long as we are determined, we can accomplish.
I agree with that. I moved to Washington D.C. in 1970. Actually, August 14th,
Mm.
1970. That was my daughter's birthday, first birthday, and Came here to go to Howard University to work on my master's degree. Fell in love with the city, and the rest is history. I find it a very, I think Washington, D.C. is the best city in the world.
I totally agree with that. It is indeed the best city in the world. I tell you, I had moved temporarily, I think for about 2 or 3 years to Norfolk for I had got a job opportunity, and I just I had a good job. It was a good paying job, and I just said, listen, I can't do this. I got to go back. I got to go back to the city. I don't care. I got family down there in the Greater Hampton Roads area. But I told him, look, y'all, it's a few hours drive. You can come up and see me. I come down see you. But I'm gone. I got to get back to the greatest city in the world. Ain't nothing
No,
like
I
it.
mean it is unique. I don't care where you go. And I'm from California. Went to
Mm.
college in Texas and in Missouri. I've known all the great cities. I was even toying with going to live in Chicago, and then happened to get there one winter and said, "Oh no, I'll never do this." And I ended up in Washington D.C. to come here to work on my master's degree. But the uniqueness of it, I grew up in California, and that's a diverse city. And I was a surfer, a black surfer. I mean, black power that wasn't even out there. And well, in Southern California, now in Northern California, that was a different ballgame because that's where the Black Panthers were.
Mm.
But when I came to Washington, I was just fascinated. It's a seat of power, and it reflects itself in so many things that we do on a very what I consider primary basis. I used to say Washington D.C. is a political town, and it permeates every level of the city in ways
Mm.
that in nuanced ways that you don't even know. It's just unique. It's different than Toledo or wherever you just came from. It's just that vibrancy. I can't explain it. You see, I love the city.
Yes, yes, it's like you said, it's nothing like it. But speaking of the city, one of your biggest, well, I'm not gonna say biggest, but one of your many contributions to the city, is your work and dedication and founding of the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. And so we're going to watch a brief video, and right after this, I want to talk about it for a few seconds.
Okay. Here we are at the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center in the Williams Arena, no less. Named after Venus and Serena Williams for all the hard work and all the role models that they've been. And we're opening up a 48,000 square foot arena that will host 6 indoor courts and a full mezzanine. So it's a great night.
In some of our communities, tennis is not a sport that a lot of children are familiar with, and certainly it has arrived at some of our communities just in the recent past. So this is a statement about a commitment to children in terms of tennis and in terms of education.
To have a facility like this that has tennis and education means so much. It allows a safe haven for these youth to go to after school to learn a sport that's a sport of a lifetime, to get tutoring assistance to help them with their education, and to provide a pathway for them to be successful. And to be in a community like this, it really provides hope, not just for the kids, but for the parents and for the community as a whole.
This is an investment in community. This is what community development is all about. This is what growth in our youth is all about. So tonight, we're going to celebrate the city's investment, celebrate the investment that the Recreation Wish List and all these fabulous board members have made in our youth in this area of the city, and have a great time.
The young people here don't really have a lot of recreational outlets. When Mrs. Berry first started the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center, one of the pieces of data we had was that there was one center for every 900 kids in Ward 3, but one center for every 2,700 kids out here in Ward 8. And so that made a compelling case for opportunities for young people.
This place creates opportunities of a lifetime for kids. It uses tennis as the hook, but then it teaches them education and all the great lessons that tennis does: discipline, self-reliance, problem solving. all those things you learn on the tennis court, and most of them won't be professional tennis players and maybe won't do anything with tennis, but they'll take those skills and apply them in the rest of their lives and be amazing people.
So many children in the District of Columbia benefit from the services of the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center, and it is for that reason that Comcast is a proud sponsor of this amazing organization.
It's a transformative place and space, and when you see what they were working with and the great outcomes that they were having with children, it was amazing. And when I first came here and saw the old building, and it was torn fabric roofs and all sorts of problems left and right, mechanical systems that were in decay, and yet they were able to do such amazing things with great kids, just incredibly dedicated staff and people, and of course Cora's energy and spirit.
It means so much to Southeast to have this building, this, what it means to the community is just phenomenal. It's a positive step in the right direction.
This has been a wonderful evening. We've raised a lot of money to have programs for our children. If you want to continue to donate, go to recreationwishlist.org.
And that is the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. Now, most people just see or think about, should I say, tennis. But obviously you had a much bigger vision and had some other things in place as well. So tell us, what exactly did you envision when you first dreamed about this Southeast Tennis and Learning Center, and has it all come to fruition, or do you still feel like there's more to do?
Possible when my husband, Marion Barry, made his historic fourth term comeback, he asked me to please manage and put on his inaugural. I did, and as I was doing it, I was amazed by how much money people would donate to a party, and I was like, I can't put all this money in a party. And I had noticed on television that the recreation department was cutting back on their sports program, and so I just said, well, what I'm going to do, and I had an inaugural. We used to have something called the Taste of DC, where you would have hundreds of restaurants going up and down Pennsylvania Avenue. I asked 10 of those people to come and be the caterers, and they gave away free food. I saved $250,000 out of that inaugural thing, and started something called the Recreation Wish List Committee. I called the director of recreation at that time, Miss Betty Jo Gaines, over, asked her to bring me her wish list, and from that point on, the wish list was much bigger than our $250,000, and so we kind of formed a nonprofit. And just as First Lady, I did not want to be, and would not be, could not be, and am not a traditional person who runs around kissing babies and going to teas. I just wasn't going to do that. So we had a foundation, and our job was to empower our youth all over the city. So we went around and we went, Bald Eagle was our first place. We did a big cleanup, and then we put a boxing gym, and we put a dance studio and a computer lab in Bald Eagle. And then from there, we went everywhere. And one day I was riding down the street, saw this vast piece of land, did a little, what I call marketing research, my version of it, and found out that Black kids in that community were playing tennis, but they were being bused up to Northwest. And I was like, well, why we need to bus them? We'll just build some here. So we built 6 tennis courts. Kids had a ball, but I found out in that, and I'll just skip to this, that even though they were playing tennis, when they finished tennis, they settled the score on the corner. And I was like, no, that's not the point here. So we need a building. And God gave me a vision to build a building. And to make a long story short, that stayed with me until I was obedient, because I pushed away at first. And I jumped out there with my board behind me and the city, and I raised money to build something called the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. I got a lot of pushback on naming it. I named it Southeast Tennis and Learning. I said, don't put Southeast in there. I said, what do you mean don't put Southeast in there? They said, because of the connotation. I said, I'm going to put Southeast in there, and the connotation is going to be excellence. And the kids are going to do excellent, and we're all going to show with Southeast. And I'm not spending 5 years of my life to build a tennis center. I believe if you put a tennis racket in a kid's hand, or a ball or a bat, you ought to put a book in the other. So we're going to not only play tennis, but we're going to learn. And I want them to be champions, not only on the court, but in the court of life. And so that's how it came about. It's all very organic, all divinely inspired, and just here we are. Now, don't get me wrong, right. My vision was a very much, I thought I was thinking about like little temporary, you know, you know, trailers. And God had a bigger vision. And here we are at a $55 million vision. And across behind us on Valley Avenue in Southeast, on Wheeler and Valley Avenue, is a tennis expansion, $22 million expansion that we're going to be cutting the ribbon on soon, so that our kids can not only play tennis around the country, but we're going to bring in international tennis here. So the young people who come here will be coming from all over the world, leaving millions of dollars in the city and experiencing tennis in the hood, because there's nowhere else in this world is a tennis facility of this nature in the hood, in the middle of the community. The Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. I'm very proud of it. Down through the years, our young people have been able to go to college on tennis scholarships, and we've been able to travel. Or this summer, we're taking them to the U.S. Open. They're going to spend the day there, and then they're going to go to see Hamilton play, and then they're going to go to one of our funders, Reggie Van Lee's house, and have dinner on a patio. That's what we do with our children in Southeast. I know I'm saying a lot, but I'm excited about it because I'm here in summer camp now. I'm watching them out there. And, you know, in Southeast, a lot of times our kids get the least. So what we do here is we try to give them the most.
Wow, I am so I got to get over there and volunteer or something. I am definitely sold. I'm excited about this center and also what's to come. But I hear that you talk about the kids that have gotten scholarships. And I did a little research, so forgive me if my numbers are wrong, but I have gathered that this center and yourself have served more than 15,000 young people. Um, and I just was wondering, what would you say they have taught you? And even in a time like this, when we look at today's youth, we're talking about youth curfew. It's like our city is split on what do we do with our young people. From what you have experienced, what have you learned, and what do you feel our young people is missing and what they need?
Well, it's interesting. I'm glad that you asked, because I have obviously had a front row seat in the last couple of years with the kids now Southwest and all of the things that have been said and done. I want to start by saying, first of all, Washington, D.C. is one of the most richly resourced cities in the country in terms of activities and opportunities and places for our kids to go. So let's just put that there. Now, we could always stand more, we could always use more, and we all are trying to do that. But I run a center in Southeast Washington, 701 Mississippi Avenue. It is the heart of Ward 8. Ward 8 is the far east of the river. I think we are about 2 miles south of the Maryland line where we are, and right on the Siouxland Parkway. And so our kids come from the neighborhood, up the street, around the corner, and down the way. What I have seen is a plethora of having families come in from the same neighborhood, maybe even on the same street. This set of children are going this direction, and this set of kids are going the same different direction. They're all from the same poverty level. So we remove poverty as a factor. We know poverty is there, but there is also parental involvement. And I have found very clearly that the difference in what our kids need is different kind of parenting, parent responsibility, parent accountability. I have raised children at the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. One particular situation, a parent, about 5-10 years ago, so obese they were not mobile. This woman was not mobile, but she was going to save her son. She stayed on that phone with me every day to make sure her son came to this center. And then when he was finished, and she'd send her son up there. And we did that with him for 7 years. And he would come here and he would go do of course, the tennis, but we had coding, we have math, we have homework assistance, we have creative arts where kids dance and sing. We have an annual program for 25 years called Blacks and Wax, where they talk about the history and learn the history of our people and the struggle. We've done all of that, and that saves lives. But the parents have to get the kids there, and that woman would not And I've only put my hand on the kid one time in the whole 25 years. It was him. And I don't remember what he did. I think he stole something, whatever. It was a real menace. I grabbed him by the collar. And he was, I think, 13. And I picked up the phone and called his mother. I said, I got him by the collar. She said, when you finish with him, send him home, and I'm going to do the same thing. That kind of parenting, where you hold the kids accountable, where you trust your kids with other villagers so we can do it. That's the problem, because a lot of our kids that I see out here, my question is, who dropped you off there? I have a 14-year-old granddaughter. I know where she is. She may be with her friends at the mall, but you know what I'm saying? So I think it's a condition. It's a condition, but it's parenting, it's community, and it's government. And we all, I have a center here. The kids who are here, they want to be here. Their parents want them to be here. It's open for anybody, but there's also a set of kids who don't want to be places that are structured, where there's supervision. You can say hype night all you want to 12 o'clock, but in hype night, you can't date, you can't do this, you can't do that. So they don't want to be there. So I don't think it's one answer. I think it's a combination, but I don't think it's the city. I don't think it's the parent only. I think it's all of those factors. And they're all very individualized, but it starts at home. It just
Can't argue with
the
you there.
greatest compliment, my grandma, let's say this one thing, the greatest compliment, you can imagine what kind of mother I was. So the greatest compliment my daughter gave to me one day, I heard her talking on the phone. She was, 12, 13, and I heard her say to her friend, I can't do that. My mother would kill me.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. I've
You know
had
what
that
that means,
conversation.
right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And so to me, I don't think it's that complicated. It's all of those things. And I don't like the way the community is so divided and pointing fingers at everyone when everybody has a role to play and everybody has some fault to blame. The government, I mean, I don't have an issue with the perspective that the police are overzealous, that they don't show, the compassion. I really miss Chief Pam, who had a community concept in terms of how we deal with our people. I think that's real. I know it's real. And so, but we also have a responsibility of each one of us to do something about our children and the families. We don't just here at the Southeast Tennyson Learning Center minister to the children. We minister to the families. We find out what's going on. We work with the families. I mean, it's a village. And I think we all have, and I think we have an incoming mayor that I think is very clear about that. And I think our outgoing mayor has richly resourced the city for our children in a magnificent way. And my husband, I think about him often in this situation and what he would be thinking and how the role that he would be playing.
Yes, that's always a conversation that is up is is what would the mayor have been doing? What would his reaction be, and how would he have handled certain situations? I tell you, it's a lot of situations I don't think he would be pleased with, and there are some things I think he would be pleased with. So, hey, your work has always been about creating opportunity. But not just through sports and the sports and learning, I mean the tennis and learning center, but also through civic engagement. And I ain't gonna take you back too far, but we're gonna talk about you fighting for voting rights after this.
We are 40 years later.
Will you be back at the Senate?
I will be back
Yes,
as long as I can.
This is what
I'm so
democracy
angry.
looks like.
This is what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Keep fighting. Don't give up.
This is what democracy
Back
looks
down.
like.
This is what democracy
Keep coming.
looks like.
This is what democracy 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 looks like.
This is what
40
democracy
years
looks
ago.
like.
And everything they gave us, they took away. Every law you can think about, they can just write up, just with a stroke of a pen, take our rights away.
We appreciate you not filming these security measures. Thank you.
I'll be back. I'm never gonna back down. Never gonna stop. Fighting to my death, and my kids are gonna fight. Come on! Not gonna do it to us again. 60 years of this. All the bills, 13, 14, 15th Amendment, 1964, 65. And we're back here again? Are you kidding me? I'm madder than I've ever been. Death or vote. You're gonna have to vote. And I'm telling everybody, if the black people are stopped from voting, everybody loses. It's not a black battle. It's a democracy battle. All the Democrats need to be out here. All the people of color and all the people of righteousness need to be out here. It's not a black battle. It's a moral battle. It's a moral law. They're trying to take everything from us. If we don't vote, we die. If we don't vote, Jim Crow. If we don't vote, separate bathrooms. If we don't vote, slavery.
Wow. Shout out to Roland Martin and also to Comcast Newsmakers for their early video. But what a video. I was like in awe when I watched it. But I tell you, one thing I've gathered from your life is that it feels like this has become a personal mission for you. And so why has voting rights become such a personal mission for you?
It's hard to talk about it because our people do not understand how important it is. The percentage of people who are not voting breaks my heart. They have not connected that with their lives. Jesse Jackson, after the election of Reagan over Carter, Jesse Jackson at the anniversary, one of the anniversaries of the March on Washington, spoke, and his speech was titled "Rocks Just Laying Around."
Yes.
And he talked about the percentage of the Carter-Reagan election and how Carter was beat, not by Reagan, but by rocks just laying around. He made an analogy of David and Goliath, how Goliath was big, but David looked around, he had a slingshot, and he just took those rocks and he slayed the giant. And he talked about the fact that in the state of Pennsylvania, for instance, Reagan won by 5%, and the percentage and the number of people that he won by was much smaller than the people who were registered, especially black people who to vote and didn't vote. So he won because we didn't vote, and he called them rocks just laying around. And that's really been, and I've been a voting advocate before I was anything else because I understand the essentiality of it. I lived through it. I'm 81 years old. I was in college at the height of the civil unrest, Black Power movement, I call it. I didn't sing "We Shall Overcome." I sang "Ungawa Black Power." I'm sorry, I'm from that movement. I'm not from the civil rights movement, but it took all of it to get us where we are. I'm not denigrating any one approach. Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, they both needed each other. And then my own personal favorite hero, Stokely Carmichael, who basically opened my eyes to what it is to be black in America. So voting is so important, and it's breaking my heart that that video was, what, 5-6 years ago, maybe longer. Think about now. I mean, it's amazing what's happening, but I'm feeling in my bones that the revolution is here, it's coming. I'm looking at the election of certain people across the country, and those people that elected them are the people primarily who haven't voted for nobody else. The establishment gets all their people out, they get them all out, but they hit a wall because the millions of people are the ones that have not voted. You wake them up, you have a mighty army. And that's what I'm seeing, and I'm praying and hoping that we're going back into the revolution where we wake up our people and say we got 2 or 3 different things we have to do, starting with voting.
Yes. If you could give a message, I have a lot of peers too, peers and even those younger than me, even folks that I have mentored, former students, who just feel like there's this thing with young people. They just say, "Oh, not into politics," or "I don't vote because it ain't gonna make a difference. They all a puppet." All of these things. Even I have even my own family and people that are close to me. They see me involved, and now they might text me and say, on voting day, I'm gonna vote because you told me to, Mike. Who should I vote for? And I'm like, if y'all don't pay attention, and but what message would you give? Because I even struggle in trying to motivate others. Like, look, our vote matters. So coming from you, someone who is respected, what message would you give the young people?
Well, I will start with I'm encouraged by the messaging of Mandami. I'm encouraged by the messaging of what they call the Democratic Socialists, which I think is a ridiculous title anyway, because this country's been socialistic since the 1940s. Franklin Delano Roosevelt in the 30s passed the New Deal, and he did the same thing that Trump did. He packed the Supreme Court to get his programs through, and that's where Social Security came from. That's where public housing came from. Socialized medicine came from. So if we
Yeah.
have that. We have that. So I'm saying that what I hope is happening is being able to connect the conditions of people's lives with voting. And I see these young people are saying, like Mandami just did in New York with the slumlords and got rid of that your life can change, but you have to go to the polls. So the more we get on our group, we were too elevated with our messaging. I mean, really, when to take you back in history, because I'm a political science professor, so I tend to have to do this. I tried not to do it, but I'm gonna take you back to the Jimmy Carter, um, Reagan election, and the black people were running around. I'm not gonna call names because they were my friends, telling black people that Jimmy Carter had appointed more black people to the federal court bench than any other presidents all put together. I said, do you think they care about that? That's not messaging for our people. So our
Right.
messaging, our connectivity is what I'm saying. So next time somebody runs for president like Kamala, instead of taking Beyonce up on a stage where everybody in the room is already going to vote anyway, we got to get into our communities. We got to
Yeah.
stand there when the people checking out at the Walmart. We got to talk to our people. We got to get back in the community. Marion's historic fourth term was possible because we didn't pay attention. Nobody wanted him to come back in the establishment. The Congress didn't want him back to count. Nobody did. But God and the people. But we went to the people. We went to public housing. We even went down to CCND. We went everywhere where the people were who knew who Marion Barry was and what his policies were, and that he had the love in his heart for them. And that's how he got it. And that's what we need to do. We have to get back in our communities. And you as an influencer, your messaging has to be simple. There's a direct connection between how much money you make and the protection you're getting from it, your inability to do this, and who's in office and makes that decision. If you do not vote on somebody in that office, then you're at the mercy of whoever shows up. And you've got good data now. You got what's going on. I mean, my guy Trump, I call him my guy because he's gangster. he, he has laid it all out there. There's no nuances. So just look at that, and that's not voting right over there. So I mean, you just have to. The messaging has to be simpler and connecting. And when you do, especially in the middle of a time where people are struggling, thousands of people are out of work overnight. I'm not just talking about the normal unemployment. I'm talking about people whose lives were dependent on working in the government.
So do you feel like I know you referenced the New York City mayor. Do you feel like here in our city that maybe we have kind of gotten it message wise also, and we're kind of grew tired of things and want something different based on our primary results with Council Member Janice winning the primaries?
Well, let me tell you, this. When people kept saying this was going to be the most consequential election since home rule, I uh, I agree, and I'll tell you why. I looked at the electorate, and I looked at when Marion ran for mayor the first time. A lot of people think he took off a dashiki and he ran for mayor. No, he was chair. He was pride. He was school board chair, and then he ran for at large city council when we got home rule. He was on the city council for 2 years and then left and ran for mayor against the incumbent mayor, Mayor Washington, and the incumbent city council chair, Sterling Tucker. Marion was considered the radical. The establishment in Washington voted for Sterling Tucker in big numbers. The old Washingtonians voted for Mayor Washington. It was young people, progressive people, white people, and the Washington Post that elected Marion the first time.
Wow.
And I looked at that and I looked at this as a historian and said, wow, there are some similarities here. And so I think that the electorate that has elected incoming Janice George is very similar to the electorate that the demographic that elected Marion. I think the messaging has reached people who maybe were disaffected or not connected, because I'll be very interested in seeing the breakdown of the vote in terms of the demographic. I know the numbers, but I want to know, the who, what, and where.
Right, right. That would be interesting. I can't. I would love to see those numbers.
Yeah.
One thing that the mayor did was it seemed like he kind of had our people at a point where they kind of felt like they were going somewhere, where they had the ability to make ends meet. They had hope, in other words. Do you feel like our city has hope over the next 10 years?
Absolutely. I am so proud of how we have shown up in spaces and places that require courage and vision. Absolutely. We have younger people or everybody's younger than me. I'm older than water. But people like Ron Moulton, who's gone from Peaceaholics to founding a go-go museum and out there advocating in the streets. We've got on the other side over there the Harriet Dreams and the Free DC people. In the middle, we got some gangster ANC commissioners all across the city. I'm impressed. Why are you laughing?
No, I listen. I really I love a lot of stuff that Ron Moulton does, but we often clash when it comes to bikes and bike lanes because I'm an avid biker.
But I'm sorry, I'm not on your side. Let me tell you what happened to me downtown the other day. I was getting out of a car, and big, SUV, but we couldn't. We had to wait for the bikers. The cars had slowed down, and that was fine. That was on that side of town. On this side of town, I have never been in danger of a biker. So I do think that bike lanes should be proportionate to the population it serves. This is not a big biking community. And we have
Right.
limited parking over here. So come on, take that in consideration. It just, you don't ever see no bikers on the lanes and over Northwest cars. And I get that, but that doesn't work over here.
Yeah.
So I'm with Ron. So what you gonna say? I'm with Ron.
I don't want no beef with you. Before we go to our close, I'm just going to play one last video of my dear brother. But before I play that video, I do want to remind everyone. Here is our flyer. Your neighborhood needs a voice. Those who don't know, A commissioner is a representation of yours, is a representative for your single member district. And they make a lot of decisions, a lot of things that's going on in your community, a lot of small businesses that may pop up. I know there's a lot of fuss about our tobacco stores and those types of things. You want to make sure that your district has representation. Too often there are too many commissions that do not have representation, that do not have a commissioner. And when things come up, the people are not properly represented, and they can't fight for what they
That's right.
truly want and need. Here at Rising Voices, that's what we do. We help you. Listen, petitions have already been picked up. They're still not due until next month. Listen, you still have time. If you're interested in running, please send us an email, leave us a comment, give us a call, send us a text. However way you want to do it, we want to make sure that we help you. We don't charge. We're just here to help you navigate through the DC political system and to help give you an advice and to help you hopefully, I can't guarantee it, but to help you hopefully secure a victory. Reach out to us.
What needs to change in the District of Columbia?
First of all, we need statehood. United States government. Don't use that on it. We need statehood. We need statehood. And the United States government goes to Iraq, goes to Afghanistan, goes around the world saying we want democracy. And yet in his own backyard, right down from the president's house and the Congress house, we don't have a voting senator, a voting representative. So we need to have statehood now. And that's not going to be a miracle worker. It's not going to be a silver bullet. But at least it gives us a say over our money. We have a $11 billion budget. Most of it raised to low.
We need statehood. That is what our mayor for life said. What do you think about statehood? Is it absolutely imperative? How important is statehood today?
You know, the debate between statehood and full voting representation has struggled on. Statehood would be great. I don't know if it's attainable, but what I do think is attainable is full voting representation in Congress and full control over our budget, to getting the Congress out of our budget and being able to have a vote and a voice and 2 senators. We don't, that's it. That's just full voting representation. And that's what I'm for.
Do you think that we kind of owe it, those of us who are, I guess, myself and maybe the next generations, do you think we kind of owe it to the Honorable Eleanor Holmes Norton to get statehood?
If we could get it, absolutely. But if your goal is, if your question is, should we keep that as a goal? Absolutely. But I'm just talking to you about, through my years of being here from day one on this issue, I think full voting representation is a more attainable goal. I mean, you know, you get statehood, you have to have a governor, and then, the structure of statehood, I don't know if, in its present structure, that would have to be, something that would have to be looked at. But full voting representation, I actually think, is really what gives us full independence.
I've heard about a compromise that was offered by the Republican side, that we wouldn't have to pay federal income taxes. Would you be in favor of that?
In return for what?
In return for the give up on statehood.
But in part of that be full voting representation, because if not, that's sharecropping. That's just my view of it.
So I agree. I just wanted your thoughts and your opinion.
No, not gonna be no sharecroppers.
But we just played a clip from the great Marion Barry. I had the opportunity to meet Marion Barry at a place when I was going through one of my darkest moments in life. It was actually Vincent Gray while I was at Covenant House, Washington, homeless, getting an intake. And Marion Barry, Mayor Marion Barry walked through the doors, and I was introduced to him. And I don't know what he saw in me. I mean, it was a lot of us teenagers in there, 18, 19, just knuckleheads and not knowing what we was going to do with our lives and ourselves. And he walked up to me and he started asking me questions about what I wanted to do and all these kind of things. And he asked me, was I in school? And that conversation ended with him assigning his staff member uh, to get me enrolled at UDC, and to help me locate an apartment. And I'll tell you, about maybe over a 2 month period, both happened. I was enrolled in UDC, and I was able to obtain keys to my first apartment. And the thing that bothered me was that the apartment that they helped me to get, it wasn't in DC. It was
That's
over
weird.
in Oxon Hill.
Ward
Right over in
9.
Oxon Hill. Yeah, in Ward 9. It was in Ward
Yeah.
9. And you know, I went to it. I'm like, I just don't get it. Why would you help me but lose a vote? Like that, I don't understand. And his response was, man, I'm not worried about that. I just want you to have a place to stay. And ever since then, I was just like, I've been totally amazed, because since then I still have not come across a council member or mayor who has treated me in such a way. And I know I know these ones, you know, a lot longer and way more than I knew Mayor Marion Barry. And so that kind of heart, it always stuck up to me. And you know, it changed my life forever, and even changed how I do quote unquote politics, and how I navigate in this field.
Marion believed in humanity. I mean, he really was very special. There was an anointing on him. He never, and I used to always say this, he didn't have a respect of person. When he saw you, you could be the king or you could be homeless. That's what, he just didn't have it in him. I promise you. And it was one of those things that the same thing make you laugh, make you cry, where he couldn't see the bad. You know, he can see people. Sometimes he would be also misled by people who were, because Marion could not hold, my saying is he could not hold a grudge across the street. He was a special person. And so his goal was to help you as a human being. And that was always his leading goal, was to help the people. And he didn't have a lot of parameters from it. And I tell young people sometimes, icons or special, and somebody who has done something great in life, I said, let me tell you how you attain greatness. You attain greatness through your passion for something and working toward it. And that's your goal, is not to become great. Your goal is to help that situation become great. Your goal is to pour into people and in situations, and you put one foot in front of the other, and you fight a battle every here and there, and you get over it, and you keep pushing. And you might look back 50 years later and, oh, wow, there's a body of work there. But that's the goal, is always what's right in front of you, trying to solve and make things better. And his goal right then in seeing you was a young man who had what he always calls it, great potential, and just needed to be put in a situation where God could work with you and through you to be who you are right now. I have never met you before, but I've watched you and I follow you on Facebook, and I'm always very fascinated by the thoughtfulness by which you approach topics, and about I want to use the word professionalism, but I say respectful way, you know, that there is deep conversations to be had and serious topics to be discussed without being dehumanizing or unpleasant or small-minded or unkind. And I want to commend you for that. And Marion saw that in you.
Thank you. That definitely means a lot to me. Um, thank you so much. I truly appreciate that. What I've always wondered and never had the courage to ask him is through the difficult years, and he touched on. I was able to read his book, but through the difficult years, what would you say helped Mayor Barry get through the most? Something that we can still use through our difficult times today.
Again, Marion was an unusual person. Um, about 6 years ago, maybe a little bit more, Minister Louis Farrakhan, who was a good friend of both of ours, but an extremely good friend of Marion, asked me could he come and lay a wreath or to imitate him. I just want to honor my brother and lay a wreath on his grave. And of course, I said, I'd be honored for you to do that. And then I thought about it because he had never been to Marion's gravesite. When Marion was in prison, and that's a whole movie getting ready to be made about that, he had a conversation with Minister Louis Farrakhan. Minister Farrakhan called me. We weren't married then, we were relating then, and asked me how he could talk to Mayor Barry. And I arranged it. I don't know if they still do it or not, but used to call collect from prison. And then I connected him on a three-way to Minister Farrakhan. And when they started talking, it was back in the day with the old tape record, voice recorders where you had to push the buttons and stuff. And when they started talking, some said record, and I hit record. And then when that conversation was over, I took that little tape and put it in the nightstand, put it in this case, and never listened to it again. And then when Minister Farrakhan asked to come leave the wreath, I thought about it. I went and got the tape, gave it to my IT person, said, can you transcribe this into digital so I can hear it? And I did, and I sent it to his son. I said, I would like to play this at the gravesite of Marion when Minister Farrakhan comes and lays the wreath on his grave. And he did. And so my point is, when you heard that tape, I know sometimes it takes me, I told you I'm a teacher. When you heard that tape, Marion was talking about his dreams, about his goals, and how this was a place. How he had turned that place into a retreat, a respite, so he could think and pray and meditate and plan. Sitting in prison, he's telling this to Minister Farrakhan. I have the tape right now. And when he came out, well, the rest is history. So I think meditation, it's nothing new. God, faith, understanding how faith works, because faith works in tough times. Your faith is never tried when you're doing good. It's when life is rough and God's giving you an opportunity to be a better person, to grow, to get bigger, get better.
Yeah.
No more. It's always that guy. You're gonna get through it and you're gonna be better, but it depends on how you do it. Marion was in prison and they put him behind the counter to serve. He was the best server anybody ever saw. They couldn't, everything they tried to put him in, they never broke him. He always elevated it. So elevate your situation. And that's what he did. He never believed in ever being down and staying down. He said, you can get down, but you got to get up. So I don't know if that's helpful, but that's what I learned from him throughout his life. And in that place, I was there. His mother was there. And the community, people don't realize that when Marion was sent to prison, that made him the hero he is today, because he literally got convicted on one misdemeanor charge of simple possession. All those other charges, they said not guilty. And the man was so upset, he put him in jail for 6 months and he made him a hero.
Wow.
They always go too far.
That's in the church world would have summed that up by saying God will make your enemies your footstools.
I always remember that. Always remember that. Why you treat people as I come back to you in tenfold. So when everybody gets so upset about what's going on now, I said, okay, calm down. I said,
Right.
there's nothing. My mother used to always say this, and I used to have a podcast called this. There's nothing new under the sun. I said, if you want to know how this is going to end, read a history book or a Bible.
I like it. I like it. Well, you know, this is the end of our show. There are so many great nuggets. I actually was on my phone taking some notes from some of the things you were saying. So I definitely will have. I mean, that elevates your situation. I can write a sermon off that thing. But that's something that I'm gonna be meditating on. I know this week. Elevate your situation. That's a word. So I thank you and the great mayor for life for those words. And this has been a pleasure, like I do with all of our shows. I end it with our guest voice. So anything that we did not discuss, anything that you would like to leave our listeners with, you will have the last voice. I will say that I have got to get over there to the Southeast Tennis and Learning Center. I have got to see you, number one, in person. And I have definitely got to get over there and check out that center. I am motivated. So I got to get over there. Thank you again for joining us and for coming on the show. And the last word is yours.
I always say to people, the power you have is in the prayer that you deliver. That's it.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pause real quick. If you're from DC or you love DC, this one's for you. Welcome to the People's Voice DC, a podcast where the city speaks for itself. Not just politics, not just headlines. We're talking real life, community life, DC life. From the metro rides to the murals on the walls, from classrooms to corner stores, from church basements to community meetings. This is where conversations actually happen. We talk about what matters: housing and money, mental health and healing, culture, music and creativity, faith, purpose, and finding your way, relationships, parenting, and growing up in the city. Yeah, we talk politics too, but only because policies affect our everyday lives. This show is presented by Rising Voices of Politics and founded by Reverend Michael Campbell with one goal in mind: give the people the mic. And when we say the people, we mean everybody. Young folks with big ideas, creatives with something to say, parents holding it down, leaders in the making, and anyone who's ever felt like their voice didn't matter. Trust, it does. No fake debates, no talking down, no boring energy, just real conversations, good vibes, and perspectives that feel like home. Catch us live every Wednesday at 6 p.m. on YouTube and social media by searching The People's Voice, DC, or Rising Voices of Politics. Miss the live show? It drops the same night at risingvoicesdc.org, and you can listen anytime on Spotify. So whether you're on your phone, in the car, in the dorm, or just trying to feel connected, tap in, tune in, and be part of something bigger. This is The People's Voice, DC. The city, the culture, the conversation.